Arne Slot press conference, Chelsea, set pieces, Isak, Salah, Mamardashvili, and more. We'll do everything to win. Ryan Gravenberch on Reds responding at Chelsea. Now let's hear the details. The Dutchman spoke to reporters at the AXA training center on the eve of the Stamford Bridge encounter. Having provided an update on the fitness of Alisson Becker, Federico Chiesa and Hugo Ekitike, Slot was then quizzed on a range of other topics during Friday morning's briefing. On the impression Georgi Mamardashvili has made since arriving. I think we've seen against Southampton how well he's adjusted. We knew that we were bringing in a very good goalkeeper. But when he plays his first game, that's always the best way of seeing that he's adjusted well or not, and I think we've seen in that game that he's adjusted really well to our goal, which is not a surprise because he's a quality goalkeeper. Now he can do what Keoham Kelleher had to do so many times in the past, replacing Alisson, hopefully in a way Keoham did so many times before. On the reaction he has seen from his players. If the reaction is after you lose against Crystal Palace, you lose another game, you can argue if that is positive. But I saw a team that wanted to try, from the first second until the last second, everything to get a result. Different to the Palace game, we won much more second balls, we were, like in the Palace game, close to a result. And I've said many times that last season the margins are so small, and that's the same this season again, and we are trying to find the way that is not about luck or bad luck or is not about a set-piece goal scored or against. That we are just better than that it doesn't matter if Hugo Ekitike goes one-on-one to the goalkeeper, he gets twice or three times a pull on the shoulder, but he does everything to stay on his feet, like our players mainly do. 1 minute later in the other 18-yard box, a player feels this, goes to the ground as if it was the worst hit he ever had, and the referee gives a penalty. Again, this can happen and we should be better than that it doesn't matter if you were lucky or have bad luck or are smart or not smart if you score a set-piece goal or you concede two, like against Palace. By the way, if we would have had the referee that we had against Galatasaray, we wouldn't have lost against Palace because this one blew his whistle exactly after 8 minutes. But again, that has nothing to do with the current results. We need to do better, and that's what we're going to try. On Alexander Isak's settling in period. I said to him when he started that the difficult thing will be you will have your appearances, like you just said, but if you add the minutes together, he probably only had 2 or 3 90-minute games. That is what we inherited from the situation of him not being with the team in Newcastle, and we knew this before, so it's not an excuse. He already scored a goal, he gets fitter and fitter, but the main thing is he adjusts to his teammates and the teammates adjust to him. The more he plays together, the better things will work. He had a great counter movement in the Palace game, where in the end the midfielder didn't see that and he already played the ball to the right. If he would have seen it, he would have been one-on-one to the goalkeeper. So, these are things you get if you play more together. Playing more together has been a bit harder than last season because of Alexander Isak, because of Alexis McAllister, because of Connor Bradley, that Dominic Szoboszlai has played on 8, on 10, on right fullback for the reasons I just said. But we are, in my opinion, too focused on this season, but the last part of last season had a lot of similarities with the start of this season, with one exception that, in the second part of last season we scored 7 set pieces, which led to a lot of wins, and this season we've conceded 4, I think. So, we play tomorrow, against Chelsea. I think they've scored more than 50% of their goals from set pieces. So, this is the new reality in the Premier League, and we were doing this really well, in the second part of last season. This season, we have had many chances from set pieces as well, unfortunately we didn't score yet. On working harder on set pieces, or if it's a case of needing more luck. What I just said, we've been very close to scoring from set pieces this season already. Ibu, Konate, a big chance against Galatasaray and a big chance against Palace. So, I'm very happy about the amount of chances we generate from set pieces, but we haven't scored yet, and is that luck, bad luck? At this moment of time, I would say we are a bit unlucky. If it just keeps on going throughout the whole season, it might have to do with other things as well. But what I'm trying to say is, open play goals, in the second part of last season and the first part of last season is the main difference. I don't think we do things different. I do see teams doing a lot of things different to us. So, the first part of last season Jurgen Klopp gave me a lot of gifts, but one of the gifts he also gave me was ending up 3rd the year before and 5th the year before, and him being so well known that a new manager came in and everybody thought, oh, let's start to play against Liverpool. And teams played in a completely different way in the first half of the season against us than they did when we were top of the league after half of the season and when we were top of the Champions League after the first part of the season. And I can see this going now into this part of this season. We have to find answers to that. Last season, one of the answers was a set piece, like many teams unlock a low block with set pieces. And this season we haven't done that yet. On Connor Bradley and Jeremy Frimpong's reaction to Dominik Szoboszlai being used at right back. I don't think they are frustrated at the moment because Connor Bradley has been out with an injury in preseason that brought him into the season with an injury. And Jeremy Frimpong the same, he has been out with an injury as well. I would be surprised if players are complaining that they don't play if they are injured. That would be something new to me. Yes, they've come back from their injuries, but, like Alexander Isak, we don't believe it's possible if you've been out for 3 or 4 weeks with an injury that you can play 3 games in a week. Because you're not prepared for that. That's why we had to adjust in that position with Dominik Szoboszlai, which he has done very, very, very well, except for the moment where we conceded the penalty maybe. But that is one moment in many minutes he's played there. We'll do everything to win. Ryan Gravenberch on Reds responding at Chelsea. Ryan Gravenberch insists Liverpool can do nothing else but move past their frustration and give everything to get back on track when they visit Chelsea. The Reds head into Saturday's Premier League clash at Stamford Bridge on the back of consecutive defeats for only the second time in the Arne Slot era. Learning what went right and wrong in the losses to Crystal Palace and Galatasaray, Gravenberch is confident about a response coming in the 5:30 p.m. British summertime kickoff in the capital. He told LiverpoolFC.com at the AXA training center, "Of course, if a team like Liverpool loses 2 times in a row, it's not nice. But I think we analyzed it good and now Chelsea is waiting for us. So, we will prepare for Chelsea and try to do everything to win the game. Of course, losing 2 times is not nice. But what I said, we will do everything to go for the win on Saturday, prepare well and give everything. That's the only thing that you can do. Sometimes it falls your way and sometimes not. This time it was not, but we still created a lot of chances. We don't finish them, but I know we will. And I know we will come out of this for sure." Chelsea have had a mixed start to the campaign and enter the weekend occupying 8th place in the league standings. They did win in midweek, however, by overcoming Benfica in the Champions League, and Gravenberch is fully aware of the threat posed by the current FIFA Club World Cup holders. "We know Chelsea has a really good team, really good players," the number 38 acknowledged. "I know it will be tough. It's actually my first time playing at Stamford Bridge. I haven't played there yet, so I'm really looking forward to it. We will prepare well." Goalkeeper Georgi Mamardashvili is set to be another Red experiencing Chelsea's home for the first time. With Alisson Becker ruled out through injury, the summer arrival from Valencia is in line to make his Premier League debut. Gravenberch said, "We know Ali is a big loss because, for me, he's the best keeper in the world. But we know with Georgi, he showed already what quality he has. Also in training he's really good. I know he will do really good for us. I'm happy for him that he will make his Premier League debut and I'm really looking forward to it, for him." Gravenberch received news on Thursday that his stunning finish in the Merseyside Derby has been nominated for September's Premier League Goal of the Month award. That was the second time the Dutchman has been on the scoresheet this season, and the increase in his attacking output can be partly put down to a slight tweak to the anchoring midfield role he has made his own. "Last season I didn't score, now I scored twice this season. The one against Everton was also a really nice goal. It's nice to be nominated," he said. "The principles are still the same, like last season. Now I have a little bit more freedom. I can go forward, but the 6 needs to be occupied by someone else, someone needs to be there and then I can go forward. It's nice to have the freedom to go a little bit forward. But if I go forward, someone has to cover for me." So, that changed the season. Mohamed Salah missing Trent Alexander-Arnold's service at Liverpool, Arsenal's defense getting stronger. Salah feeling Trent absence. Arne Slot is on unfamiliar ground, having lost back-to-back games for only the second time as Liverpool boss. So is Mohamed Salah. A player whose goals and assists inspired last season's Premier League title triumph is experiencing a significant drop-off. Salah has not scored an open play goal in the competition since the first day of the campaign. His numbers are down across the board. Goal involvements, both actual and expected, but also touches in the opposition box, shots and chances created. It is still early in the season. A goal-scoring performance against his former club Chelsea, live on Sky Sports on Saturday, could serve as a turning point for a player who has of course set absurdly high standards. But what's behind his subdued start? Maybe there is an element of age catching up with him. Salah turned 33 in June. But the absence of the player who provided most of his service looks like the bigger factor. Liverpool miss Trent Alexander-Arnold. His exit has impacted Salah more profoundly than anyone. The strength of their connection on Liverpool's right was arguably the side's biggest asset, not just because of the volume of passes received by Salah from Alexander-Arnold, but the type. The right back gave Salah exactly what he needed. It can be seen in Opta's data for line-breaking passes. Alexander-Arnold made 147 of them to Salah last season, a whopping 36% more than any other Premier League pairing, with Josko Gvardiol to Jeremy Doku next on 108. Alexander-Arnold's defensive frailties tended to draw more focus, but he was, and still is, a unicorn of a right-back in his ability to break structures and bypass defenders with his distribution, ensuring Salah regularly received the ball in positions to hurt opponents. Salah has not been helped by instability at right-back this season. Jeremy Frimpong and Connor Bradley have been affected by injuries. Slot has had to use Dominic Szoboszlai there. But the reality is that nobody can replicate Alexander-Arnold's contribution. Szoboszlai has been the main provider of line-breaking passes to Salah this season in the 26-year-old's absence. But his average of 3.5 per 90 minutes falls well short of Alexander-Arnold's 5.6 per 90 minutes last term. It is little wonder Salah's numbers are down. Which players are making most line-breaking passes to Mohamed Salah this season? Alexander-Arnold had years to build his chemistry with Salah, of course. Bradley and Frimpong are still at the beginning of that process. But Liverpool knew they were losing irreplaceable qualities with Alexander-Arnold's departure to Real Madrid. It is one of the reasons, coupled with the tragic death of Diogo Jota, for their huge investment in forwards during the summer. The hope is that the arrivals of Florian Wirtz, Hugo Ekitike and Alexander Isak will help facilitate a recalibration of their attack. That may well come to fruition as the season progresses. But if Salah's struggles without Alexander-Arnold continue, it will take something very special indeed to make up the shortfall from one of the Premier League's great individual campaigns last term. Arsenal's formidable defense. While Liverpool's form stutters, there is a sense that title rivals Arsenal are building some momentum. They host West Ham on Saturday unbeaten in 6 since their defeat at Anfield in August. Martin Odegaard's return to form was the biggest talking point after Wednesday's Champions League win over Olympiacos at the Emirates Stadium, but Mikel Arteta also made a point of highlighting an 11th clean sheet in their last 14 European League phase or group stage games. "It's remarkable from the boys," he said. Arsenal were indebted to goalkeeper David Raya for his outstanding save to prevent a Daniel Podence equaliser. But it was another game in which they have given very little away. Olympiacos threatened, but their 10 shots were worth a meager 0.5 expected goals. Arsenal were similarly stingy in beating Athletic Club by the same scoreline in the first round of fixtures, and the team with the fewest expected goals against in this season's Champions League occupy the same position in the Premier League. They have only conceded once from open play in 9 games in all competitions. This defensive solidity has of course become characteristic of Arteta's side. But the early evidence this season suggests an already formidable defense has become even stronger. And that despite injury limiting the minutes of the hugely influential William Saliba. Saliba's absences have derailed Arsenal in previous seasons. Now, though, they are far better equipped to cope, with the additions of Christian Mosquera and Piero Hincapié ensuring they have high-caliber options in every position across the backline. It is going to be showing defensive improvement given the levels they were already hitting. Having also added greater attacking threat and variety with their summer transfer business, they look well placed to mount a stronger challenge this season. Potter's unceremonious end at West Ham. This job can throw up some tricky assignments, and last week brought an interview with Graham Potter when he appeared to be on the brink of the sack at West Ham. Sure enough, His exit was confirmed less than 24 hours after we sat down together. It was impossible not to feel sorry for him as he carried out a full round media duties to preview a game it turned out he wouldn't oversee. But the club will feel their ruthlessness in making the change before Monday's trip to Everton was vindicated. The battling 1-1 draw has given Nuno Espirito Santo a platform to build on. The influence of the former Nottingham Forest boss could be seen on their performance even after 2 training sessions. Everton's opener came in familiar circumstances as West Ham failed to properly deal with a corner. It will take more than 2 sessions to resolve their issues from set pieces. But the performance ranked as West Ham's best of the campaign defensively. They restricted Everton to only 0.73 expected goals. There was better organization and also some intensity to their defending. West Ham blocked 6 shots, a big increase on their previous average, as players showed a willingness to put their bodies on the line. That defensive diligence was a hallmark of Nuno's Forest, and there were parallels offensively too. West Ham were set up to attack at speed, registering more of what Opta termed direct attacks than in their previous 5 fixtures of the season combined. Arsenal won't be easy. But at least this time Nuno has had a full week to prepare.